Look at him. He's just dickered. Just dickered, boys. Son of a bitch.
Yo, yo. Class A and macro. Not connected, not elected to participate. Bouncing down the stems will make your head hurt. Enjoy the takes. Says her whose head burns from hearing horror stories. Get burnt from gasoline. I won't be at the trial. I'm sorry.
Hey guys, welcome back to Take Her Wide. This is episode 206. Episodes are always brought to you by DaveLevittPhotography.ca. If you're down by Cambridge, and or Toronto or Guelph or anywhere down here, and you're looking for some promos or some live shots, get a hold of Dave. He also does websites if people are into that. He also does music videos. He did Gruber's Thunderstatement. He did Sabatini's Guest of Honor. He helped us with the Munera video. He did Fuck the Facts of Solitude. And yeah, just a homie. I don't know if people listening, I actually don't know where everyone's from that listens. My provider that gives me that information doesn't really explain or doesn't really show specifically, but I feel like maybe half of you know Dave, but he's the best, and he has been supportive of my endeavors for like fucking 14 years or something, as long as I've known the guy. So if you guys want to help him out, just go like his Facebook page, show him some love. Just, yeah, that'd be great if you guys could do that. Also brought to you by Wellington Brewery, that's out of Guelph. They support this by providing beers. And I think as last week's episode, I'm sipping on the Iron Duke Recipe 86 Strong Ale. It's part of a party pack, and I'm not sure what the fourth one is. It was this one and the Bewitched, and then also the Irish Stout that I've kind of been sipping on for the last bunch of episodes. And there's a fourth one, I'm not sure what it is, but all love to them for providing the beers and the liquid courage to talk to sometimes strangers for the show. And lastly, brought to you by Dapper Beard Oil. DapperBeardOil.com is if you guys go there, you can see the selection of the beard oils. This is Andrew, a friend of mine. He plays in Swarm of Spheres, and he's been doing the beard company for years now. And I've used it, and it's good. It helps hydrate. It reduces dandruff. It's all ethically sourced. And it's better, I think, for you to go to the website and just check it out than me to describe it. It's the thing that it's a sponsor, and I want people to go check out his stuff and buy it to support him. And I could talk as much as I want about it, but just trust me that it's a good beard oil. What else you guys really? What else you want me to say, man? What else can I say? Just if you use Take Her Wide free ship, you'll get free shipping too. So just go to dapperbeardoil.com if you can. Pause this. The description is in the or the link is in the description, and just check it out. At least check it out. Just all love to him for supporting. Now for this episode, I'm speaking to Nathan Landolt. I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name, as it is with most of my guests, but he's from the States, and I met him when he was playing. We played a basement show together in Ottawa, and he runs a label, Air Records. Plays with Earthwitch and Secret Shame, I believe, is a new project of his, and I think it's Asheville that he's from. I should fucking know this. I'm just gonna click right now and find out. Yeah, Asheville. So, yeah, it's just a guy who's doing things, making moves, and we're going to talk about the label and his bands, and you know what this shit is. It's the same shit as always. So, this is 206 with Nathan. That's right, man. All right, sweet. Dude, thanks. This is like timely. Usually I run into issues setting this up, or I'm a little bit late, but it's 9:05 and I said 9, so right on the fucking button, man. It's great.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I get a little self-conscious because I feel like I'm a guy who's responsible and on time, and then whenever I'm not, I guess it's just the truth. I'm like, I'm actually maybe not that.
I'm pretty responsible, but never on time.
I feel like it's like a Vargas thing. Like when we're at home and we're running late, I feel like, oh, we're that family, or we're that we're that group. It's kind of embarrassing, I guess, but whatever.
Yeah, I've done it my whole life, so I guess I'm used to it.
Yeah,
I
but
stopped
whatever.
being embarrassed.
We're here now, man, and I just kind of did a little intro, and yeah, I just said how we kind of met in Ottawa, and I think that's the only time. Now, are you originally from Asheville or no?
No. I'm from the Midwest, and I grew up in Illinois.
Okay, okay. There's a house in Champaign. Is that a place there?
Yeah.
There's a house that we played once. I can't remember what the house was called, but part of the agreement with the house or with the owner was that the tenants had to throw shows. I forget what the house was called. It was pretty cool.
It went by a few names. That was my house. I remember we kind of talked about this. It was my house, and then like started doing shows, and my friends moved in, and then they started doing shows as well. I moved out, and it kind of kept going, and I think that's the time frame when you guys played there.
What was it called?
So there were a couple names. It may have been called Dan Aykroyd's house when
That's
you
what
played.
it was. That's what it was.
All right. Yeah.
Which is a great name. We're playing the Dan Aykroyd house.
Right.
So shit, dude. What else have you been up to? Because what was that, like 3 years we played together? 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2015, I think.
Something like that. Which
Yeah.
makes me laugh because I think about that basement, and that's when Mark had 2 extra cabs than he normally has. I don't know if you remember. It was like the row at the bottom. It was like 4 10-inch speakers that the half stack and the 810 sat on. It
Yeah.
was just way too much for that basement.
It was, but I remember loving it because it was just massive.
Oh, it's so crazy. But yeah, so since then, like I've kind of just, because we're like socially connected, I see you got the label and Earth Witch is doing stuff. So I know it's really, I just want to kind of talk about that stuff and really shit. Like we could start from the beginning or whatever, but let's just go with Earth Witch because that's your you're busiest with that band, right?
At the moment, currently, like kind of, yeah. Like I was doing Earthwitch before Enabler, and then started doing that band, toured a little bit, and then it ended. And then I just kind of picked up a little bit with Earthwitch. We recorded a record and put that out and toured a little bit. So
Okay.
yeah, I've been doing Earthwitch, but I'm long distance now, so it's not as intense.
Yeah. Well, like I saw, what was the first release? 2012 with Earth Witch or no?
Yeah, we did just like a self-recorded thing that sounds like garbage.
As most first self-recorded things kind of are, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, shit. And then, so when you were touring with Enabler, how long were you doing that with them?
I was in the band technically like 7 months or something like that.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I'd known Jeff and like a lot of the past members for years from booking them and just hanging out and shit. And then yeah, Jeff talked to me maybe a couple months before I technically joined, but he, seeing if I wanted to do it, and I agreed to it, learned a bunch of songs, and then went and met with Frank, who lived in New York, and he was also new at the time, so we just all rehearsed for 2 days and then toured for a month.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, it was intense. I think it was like 30 days. I had to learn 14 songs. And the funny thing is, I was asked like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you play, like these sludgy doom bands, like play bass and stuff, but can you play fast stuff?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, totally." And I hadn't actually played bass in a band in 3 years, so it was me crunching, like relearning a lot of like my own little techniques because I'd just been playing drums for a few years, and then also on top of that learning these songs that were fairly complicated, and there were 14 of them.
Fuck, man. Yeah, well, you guys crushed, man. That was a crushing night.
Yeah, no, I thought that band, even for us like being so thrown together last minute, it wasn't really last minute, but like new to each other, musically, like it actually sonically sounded pretty sweet almost every night, which was cool.
Well,
it rarely happens.
Yeah, I think that's kind of maybe a misconception people have, that you have to be in the same city and jamming in the same room to be a band. It's like, well, if you do your homework and then, yeah, you literally just like, okay, did everyone practice the same thing? All right, let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And I mean that's kind of where Earthwitch is at now. I drive like 10 hours to go back to the Midwest if we do a weekend of shows or,
Fuck.
whatever we're doing. Yeah. And it's just me rehearsing at home a lot. And then we, every now and then, don't have enough time to rehearse together.
Hmm.
So those guys will. And the first night is just like a lot of like visual cues because
Yeah.
it's been like 2 months but we still play a show. And it's good because, I don't know, yeah, we all practice. So.
That's
I think if you play songs, we've been playing these songs for like a year and a half, some of them two, so like that also helps.
yeah. Man, that's the same scoop with the Sabatini because those guys are like 6 hours away.
Oh,
So
okay.
so it's the same thing. Like when we have shows, I head up one rehearsal and then we take off. But so you moved where are those guys then? Where are the Earthwitch guys?
They're in Champaign, Illinois.
Okay, still okay. So it's
Yeah.
just recently you moved to Asheville.
Yeah, I've been in Asheville 2 years now.
Okay. What was why'd you move?
My partner at the time lived here,
Hmm.
and I was touring a bunch, so it was like, yeah, I'll live there part of the year, you know what I mean, kind of
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
And I just kind of ended a whole bunch of stuff I was doing in Champaign, minus, Earthwitch. It just felt like a good time to pick up and move somewhere new. I'd lived in the Midwest my whole life, so, touring a bunch, I always had that itch to live somewhere else, not so cold was
Yeah.
the main reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. So and how is it Asheville for you? Like is it
It's great. It's a really progressive city. It's kind of a bubble, I like to call it, in the middle of just like a lot of backwards thinking, a lot of
Huh.
Republican territory, a lot of crazy like animal factory farming and
Huh.
shit like that. But then Asheville itself is super progressive and like I'm vegan myself, so
Hmm.
like being able to go out and eat something that I want at almost every restaurant, even like barbecue restaurants have options for me,
That's
is
cool.
pretty awesome. So yeah, I love it in that sense. I mean, it's the mountains, it's beautiful. There's lots of cool music here, so far I'm really enjoying it.
Was so you've been there 2 years. Last time I played there, I was trying to think of what it was called before this started. It wasn't. Is the auditorium there?
Yeah, it's there.
Is that a venue that has a marquee on the ground outside of it?
It's I can't remember if it's on the ground or if it's just like out front, like kind of on the building. They could have moved it, but yeah, I mean it's still there. That's the great place. I played there a handful of times.
Huh. That's I think that was the last time I was there. But when I think of Asheville, we got robbed in Asheville once.
No shit.
Yeah, and it's funny because the way you describe the city is exactly the vibe we got. This was like '06, and I've told the story 1,000 times, but
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
pulled off into just like that day off. Fuck, this city's rad. A lot of dreads and a lot of coffee joints, and it was like cool. It was like, oh, this seems like a chill place. And every night we were staying at Walmart's, and we were like, this city is the nicest city. Let's just stay here. And our
Yeah.
guitar player watched, I think, I forget which Claypool project it was, but at the Orange Peel, that's the big venue there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he saw the concert, and we are like, okay, it's like midnight. Like, it's fine. Let's just park here. And that was the night we got broken into.
That really sucks.
It totally
I've
sucked.
actually not heard of much of that happening here, which, maybe it's been, however many years, but
Yeah, I don't know. It was like '06, I think. We were sleeping
okay.
in the van, and the guy broke into it, and there was a chasing, and it was fucking intense. But yeah, Asheville. There's a band called Ents from there that I don't think they play anymore, but we I think it was Sabatini did some shows, and we ran into those guys, but they were like super loving. So I have this weird, like, I know a few people from Asheville, have played some cool shows, but also got robbed in Asheville. So I have like
Yeah,
this
that leaves a bad taste in anybody's mouth forever.
yeah, it's weird. So Earthwitch, do you guys still do it? And that release, fuck, what was the one that Cursed Tongue did? What is that one called? Out of the
Oh
Shallow?
yeah, Out of the Shallow.
That's right.
Yeah.
When was that out? Last fall?
Yeah, March of 17. We
Mar-
put it out. I
okay.
mean, we actually recorded it right before I moved. We kind of wanted to get it out of the way so it wasn't a hassle. and so we recorded that like December 2015, January 2016, like that winter. So
Okay.
took a while to come out.
Huh.
But we wanted to like we did it all ourselves except for the vinyl version of it, and I kind of just handled most of it, and we really wanted to push PR as much as we could ourselves and
Uh-huh.
all that, and we spent a bunch of money on art and the recording and mastering, so we wanted to like make it legit as much as we could, and thankfully Chris Tongue was super into it, and even though they're a new label, like that dude operates like he's been doing it for years, and it's awesome.
Huh. They're that's UK, right? That label?
Yeah, crap. I've been dealing with so many UK things right now. I can't remember exactly where it's. I think he's actually from Denmark.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure. I obviously did a little bit of prep before this, but I can't remember where exactly they're from. I know it's Europe because I was like, oh shit, there's a European release of this. That's dope.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's tight. It's funny. I've done guest vocals on some records that are on vinyl and shit, but I've never personally like been on wax until this release.
That's awesome, man. You know, I was
Yeah.
talking about this with someone recently about the a lot of fun in making music are the firsts, like the first tour or your first CD you press, or like
Yeah,
for that first vinyl that I ever was on was like crazy. It's like holy shit, kind of like I
Yeah.
somehow did it.
right. And I actually, that's funny you say that because I was just looking at my first band's first CD that we released the other day.
Huh.
I found it like I had recently moved, and it was just in a pile, and it's horrible, but it's awesome still to look at.
Fuck yeah, dude. Well, shit. Well, there's if you're still if you're looking back on like old stuff and it hasn't changed as far as quality, there's it's kind of like you're doing something wrong. Like you should always improve, right? So
I agree. Oh,
totally
yeah,
normal
yeah.
to be like, this is total garbage. Like, yeah, well, it kind of maybe is because you progress.
But at the time, it was the sickest thing you were able,
Hell
to
yeah.
create. So
Well, again, it's like those firsts, right? Even the first time in a studio, the first demo I did was at this dentist's studio. This guy who had too much money and didn't really know what he was doing, and it was like a high school thing. And I still have the cassette, I think, and it's so bad. But even that was so exciting, like in the studio, and we made cassettes of it or whatever CDs, and yeah, it's fucking crazy. It's crazy how it still is as exciting, when you move up.
oh yeah, well, and I mean, it's rough to listen to sometimes because I mean, if you're by yourself, you're not as embarrassed, but if you're showing someone, it's rough, but it's still cool. I mean, that nostalgia like won't ever go away from me. I know.
Oh man, it's do you think nostalgia, do you get sad from it or do you like get stoked on nostalgia?
Um, Usually I'm pretty stoked, but I mean, I don't know. I guess it could be certain instances that are like, oh, this band ended abruptly, or you know what I mean, or like
Mm-hmm.
now I'm remembering like this person was kind of a shithead. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's why this band broke up, or like if we're talking music specifically.
Yeah, yeah.
But most of the time it's still like, oh, I think about like that super super awesome show we played or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely outweighs the negative. I just think because there was a moment in time where I was browsing Reddit and going to nostalgia and like missing just life in
Yeah.
general. But I had to catch myself because it was more that I think I was just unhappy with my current life, and
Yeah.
I had to kind of put that in check. Like, okay, geez, don't live on Reddit's nostalgia thing. Actually, figure out what's wrong with your life. But
Yeah.
I could go on for a whole tangent there. But the Cursed Tongue records, how did that come about? Like they hit you up, or like that's great that it got released in the UK in Europe, but that's not an easy thing. Not everybody has that happen.
Yeah, I actually sent out. I mean, a little bit was like enabler connections and stuff, like not Curse Tongue, but I sent out a lot of press and a lot of like press kits to labels and shit, like all the like formality stuff. And we heard a few things back, but it was pretty much like we don't know you, go away kind of thing. Yeah, like so we kind of were like, meh, whatever, maybe we'll have some money and we'll do it someday. And Niles from Curse Tongue hit us up, and we're like super stoked that somebody just outright asked us, but at the same time we're a little nervous because he had only at the time done like 2 releases. And we're like, well, this is our baby, like record for us. So we didn't want to just like jump into it. And then he did a couple more releases. He kind of hit us up a couple more times, just curious if we were interested. And yeah, we just went with it, and he actually was just super professional and
Sweet.
like legit about it all. We actually did we did a deal where um, we kind of had our own pressing in the States, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, he pressed it all over there, but we got X amount of copies and just paid for it up front so we could like sell
Okay.
it here.
Yeah.
Because that was like a huge concern was people not being able to get it here because of like $35 shipping and shit.
Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
so you bought a bunch off him. Like, well, how many were pressed and how many did you guys get then?
There were 500 press, I think. We got 200. He did 200 like standard and then like 100 like label color. So yeah, I think we did five.
Okay.
That makes
And then he pressed them over there and then you guys did like pay for one shipment to get them over? Because there's kind of no
Yeah,
avoiding that
yeah.
shipping to get them.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap. But overall, like still the price per record was cheap enough for us to like justify it, you know. So
Okay. So do you have to sell them for 20 or is it like 15 or?
we do sell them for 20 like on the site and stuff. They're a little cheaper like in person, and like I do a lot of wholesale to stores and stuff, and like it's a lot cheaper. So yeah. Like if you go buy in the store, you can probably find it for like 12 or 15 bucks.
That's so cool, man. Now, like, man, I guess maybe an enabler connection or whatever, but do you think, because I like to think that the effort you put with the art, because the artwork is amazing. It's that, what's his name? Seymour? No.
Oh yeah, David Paul Seymour. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking great. And, the little bit of extra work you put into it, do you think that, like, which helped more? You honed this, like, nicely piece album music or the enabler connections, or what do you think? Because I think that's important to, like, really make sure your product looks good and sounds good. I think that kind of gets overlooked sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we really wanted something that kind of, art-wise encompassed the sound. I think anybody wants to do that, but we didn't want people to look at it and be like, just another whatever. You know what I mean? Kind of like looking at the art and stuff. So like, yeah, I mean, I've actually had a handful of people like tell me like I didn't know this was your band or I didn't know this band and I bought it because of the art and happened to like the music was sick and it sounded like I thought it would.
That's cool.
So yeah, I mean I think they go hand in hand. That's definitely something I focus a lot on. Like I actually just tonight finished up I just do a lot of digital layout stuff, but finished some art for another release I'm doing, and it's a lot of work, but at the end you're like, okay, this looks like how it will sound. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. And I think on top of all that too, even just thinking of that art, like it's an investment, right? Like right now, my band, we've invested a ton of money into PR and the artwork and the
yeah.
photos and everything, but I feel like it really pays off. Like it's just today I was looking at like SOCAN, which is like basically how you get paid your royalties here in Canada. I don't know if it's the same in the States, but just thinking about like the importance of investing in your band, and to make money, you have to lose money, and people don't want to call it a business music. Some people don't, but I try to think of it that way when I can, just to see a return, because fucking Christ, we both have dropped thousands of dollars into this, so
Yeah.
it's worth that extra bit, because like that the artwork definitely wasn't cheap and everything about it isn't cheap, but it's I think like, man, it just even in the specific as the artwork, it just to have someone buy the record because the art looks great, like wow, that's worth it a little bit, right? It's worth to get more people involved.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, we spent. I mean, with that record in particular, that's the most money of any band I've been in has put into it. You know what I mean? Like we had some band money, but it was just us, over time being like, okay, this next bill is due. We need to like all chip in hundreds of bucks, or $1,000. Yeah. Yeah. The art was like, it was nerve-wracking for us because we're like, this is a lot. This is more than we've ever done.
Yeah.
And then we actually ended up like, we had a friend, we ended up paying another dude to do all of the, because like David did the base art and the coloring, and then we didn't really discuss like logos and stuff, and so like he kind of did one, and we weren't into it, so we went and we had a friend do the like a new logo and like the album title and all the track listing and all that stuff. So that was a whole nother like cost.
Yeah.
But when it was done, we were like, yeah, this is it. Like this is worth it.
Hell yeah.
And for people to be as stoked on as we are is definitely worth all the like frustration and money.
Yeah, yeah. So how did it like do? That was about a year ago. As far as, because you're not touring Europe, but that's the thing I feel with the style you guys are playing. We have some friends in Montreal called Mountain Dust. Fucking amazing band. I should send you the link.
Yeah, definitely.
And they've never done Europe, but they sell records like crazy to Europe. And it's kind of the same vein of music. Some other friends of mine called Woodhawk, same thing. Like I think they've sold out of their vinyl, and like they tour, but it's not crazy touring. So
right.
The pressing in the UK, it's pretty bold of him to do it, or in Europe. Did you like, how did it do over there? Do you like, did you get any sort of feel for that?
I want to say the vinyl itself has definitely done better there. I think he's just got already like this following, you know what I mean? Like people are stoked on everything he's releasing, which is great for us, obviously. But yeah, he did like a crazy expensive like test pressing thing, and that sold out immediately. And then he is like already down to like his last copies of like the vinyl pressing,
Wow.
like the vinyl cover, and then his other standard copies. It sounds like he told us a rough number, like kind of like within the first couple weeks, and it was definitely a lot more than us already. So. Yeah, it's doing well over there, but even for us, like it's weird, like to just keep seeing orders come in, and we haven't played a show. We toured in October, and we haven't done anything since. So,
yeah, it's nuts, man. That shit is crazy. When like, because it's kind of a bit of a dream. Like, yeah, people are into my band, and I don't have to go to Croatia to sell a record. Like somehow, people
right? Yeah,
find
I
it.
mean, but I think on the same, thought, like I think if we decided to do like a month European tour versus a month like US tour, the European tour would do so much better. Just like, I mean, I feel like that's the style, that we're playing. Like,
yeah. No, I agree,
really
man.
cool.
I agree. I see that in just these, again, bands that are in that sort of vein seem to do well in Europe. And that sounds stupid because people say that to me like, oh, fucking metal's great in Europe, right? And we did Europe a couple times. And it's like, that doesn't mean shit. Like, we still had 5 people at the show, It's not this like magic land where you do super well. But it kind of seems like it, for like the stoner sort of, like, whatever you want to call it, like the sort of desert rock, whatever. I'm probably saying all the wrong terms, but it seems to do pretty good. Do you guys, because of the distance, I'm sure it's hard to make plans and make moves. Do any of the guys have like kids or mortgages, or like how in the forefront is this band for you guys?
It's definitely not like super in the forefront. I guess it never really truly was. We definitely wanted to do more with it than we were before we recorded the record. But it was kind of like, let's put the record out and then just see, like if we can put more time into it, we will. Yeah, one of like a guitarist, he's married, has a mortgage now. And then our bassist was in school, for a number of years. He's finally done with that, so he's actually freed up more. But since I'm here, it's almost like I've got like this extra, weight where I gotta like plan super far ahead to like for us to do stuff. But really, it's just every couple months we try and like do some shows, and we try and like figure stuff out for like writing and all that. Those guys have been writing a lot actually. Like October we toured, and before that we like were working on like half of a new record already.
Okay.
But like it's literally just a matter of time for us now because it's going to take another probably month or two before I get up there and we can work on the record. But yeah, it's like in the forefront of like how can I make time to do it, but it's not at all like we're going to go out and just like bust our ass tour only kind of thing.
Well, to see the success of the last record where someone pressed it and well, even just that copies are selling. Touring is fun and everything, but like really, if you can make good music that people buy and you don't have to tour, that's fucking pretty sweet too. So it doesn't diminish the band that you guys can't tour. Like, do you feel like it does or it doesn't, or do you care?
I think it does a little bit. We have a lot of areas where I think we could do well, but it would take us 2-3 weeks to like get like out to the West Coast or something, you know. And I think that would help us. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It doesn't true. It depends on your own view of it. But I mean, I love touring. I love playing shows. But if it's doing well and we can still create stuff and people are digging it, like that's totally fine with me. Because I mean, personally, and I think the other guys in the band too, like are out doing other musical things. But I'm constantly like in projects and writing and playing shows, so it's not like it's my only project and I'm frustrated, you know?
For sure.
But yeah, and I think that kind of touches on you were saying about it being kind of like a business, and in a way it is for us, because I mean we talk about, you know, well, what's the next like merch thing we should do with the money we've got, or like should we remaster our old record and repress it or something like that, you know? So like we're always kind of like, what's gonna like be cool to do, but also we'll see a return so that we can go play some shows.
Yeah. It's a tricky thing to navigate nowadays. Just I think as we're getting older, man, that's the kind of big theme of a lot of this podcast is talking about getting older and still playing basements, and just there's so much more to it. There's time commitments and, you know, even your fuel within you to still do it. And it makes me just kind of wish I had made not even like educational moves in literally music. Like I wish I knew more what I was doing with I've learned a few things. Like in Ontario you can get touring grants and recording grants from the government.
Yeah, I've heard of that, which sounds awesome.
We just my band Grabert, we just got one.
That rules. That's super awesome.
Yeah, so there's opportunities like that to help your band out, or even today again, like talking about that SoCan thing, I forgot that you can get paid for playing shows, and it just makes things harder now because I don't have this education in how to do this better, and there's no real book on how to be a successful metal band, although there are resources, but I was just lazy and never read shit, right? So
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is literally just failing a lot and, you know, figuring it out over time. At least that's what's worked for me, you know. I don't know, it is tricky, it is tough, especially with age. I don't really think about that a lot. I did for a couple of years, but I realized, I don't know, when I was younger, I mean, I started playing music super young, and then just was like, man, when I'm like 25, like if I haven't really done something, I should probably figure something else out with my life, you know? And it's, I don't know, that feeling's never gone away, like that drive to like create and like play music in front of people and record and release things and all that. Like, so I don't foresee it ever changing, which is, you know, kind of a nice thing. Like I figured a lot of things out enough to where I can continuously do it and be happy with doing it. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a point in time, like, I don't know, 50, 60, 70, when you're going to be like, fuck, this got to be enough.
I honest to fucking Christ think about that when we're loading into a basement. It's like, there's literally a time where I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Like physically it's great, especially if you're on more than just like a 2-day thing, because then you start to like, I don't know, I feel good after doing it for a while, because I'm like, oh, I'm like actually working out now, because I just don't like working out. But carrying cabs and all that kind of shit is great. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it. But yeah, one-off shows and stuff, you're like, fuck,
I know.
I feel it a little bit.
Big time, dude. Fucking big time. My knee's been acting up recently, and that's just practice. It's like I haven't really toured hard for a while, so I think if I did, like, how am I gonna feel? Like, my hat's off to those like older guys who are still crushing. It's like, how do you fucking do it, man?
I feel like they've got to have like all these little routines and shit though by now, you know, where it's like, oh, my knee hurts, so I gotta like do all this exercise a half an hour before I play, or, you know, something like after the show or whatever. Because I mean, aging and body, you know, changing and falling apart is a reality.
It's fucked. It's a weird time of life right now, dude. I'm 34 and like I've lost some friends and family members getting sick, and it's a weird kind of dark time. Not to bring this into the fucking fucking ditch about life. But it really just makes it special that you can still be older and still creating and playing music, which is kind of a nice segue because I think about everyone started at some point. So like, you ever think like why do you love music? Like, why are you a musician and not something else? Was it like an older influence from a parent, or how did was there a moment where you're like, wow, this shit rules?
For me, it was like, I mean, I just kind of growing up just listened to whatever my dad was listening to, which is a lot of classic rock and like Black Sabbath and shit like that, which is great. But until I heard, honestly, until I like heard new metal, I was like, oh, this, like even though I was on the radio, I was like, this is fucking extreme. This is intense. You know what I mean? And that like kind of drew me in, and I just like listened to alternative shit and heavy stuff, and I wanted to always find heavier music. And I don't know, at a certain point, I was like, I feel like I could do this to some extent, you know, like I like it a lot. Why not like try and like play with, like my friend down the street was always playing music and had like gear and stuff. And then we finally started like jamming on stuff. And so maybe it was like him, I guess, that really influenced me, because he was into music just as much as I was, but he was actively trying to play. And so we just, you know, were terrible, but tried playing together for a little while, and I was like, I want to get a real instrument. I want to like be in a band.
Do you remember the first song you learned?
Oh man. So I played bass, like this very first thing I started playing, because my friend played guitar and he wouldn't let me. So he said, you have to get a bass. I already have a guitar and we'll figure it out. So I got a bass for like my birthday or something. I remember it was an Ibanez, like it was a cheap ass Ibanez, but I had that bass for like 7 years.
Sweet.
I really don't remember the first song, I don't think.
Well, shit, I'm just thinking now, and I can't pin down because I've always kind of been a drummer, but I don't think I can remember at all either.
I remember learning like really bad shit like Limp Bizkit and Stained and stuff like that.
Hell yeah. Listen, man, the thing is, new metal gets shit on so hard, but it's like, nah, it was what it was, but it helped me. Man, dude, my room when I was a kid, wall to wall ceiling, Hit Parader, Circus Magazine, all new metal bands.
I had all those like fucking magazines that had Korn and Slipknot and whatever on the cover, all, you know, every other issue. yeah,
and like it for a kid, it was fucking great. Like people really poo-poo new metal, and I get it, but it really holds a kind of special place in my heart. And I love joking about it because I can like name off all these bands, and I was a huge new metal kid. And yeah, like whatever. The thing that I think is interesting about new metal is that it was easy to play. So as a kid, you could play it. Like I wasn't into Suffocation or anything like that. Like I was completely into like Silverchair and Korn, and even Korn. I was like, this is fucking really hard. This is crazy.
And they're like weird and sad and depressed, you know.
Like me, I'm weird and sad too.
I can relate. I mean, that was part of it, was like, oh, like not every song is fucking, well, not, you know, knowing now, like major fucking chords and scales or whatever, and you know what I mean, like happy sounding and poppy, you know. So like, yeah, hearing dark things for the first time was like, oh, I get it. That makes sense to me.
I remember I bought Soulfly's record, the first one, at HMV. Is HMV in the States? I don't know.
I don't recognize it. No.
Just like a whatever it was, and
yeah, like a chain.
Yeah, the chain. In the artwork, I was like, oh, I literally bought it because the artwork. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Which, looking back, it's like I don't know why I thought that was cool, but there's that 13-second gap at the beginning where there's like no sound, and then the song kicks in, and at that point, that was the heaviest shit I ever heard. Which, as a kid, was just blew my mind. Like, I didn't know you could be this heavy and angry, and yeah, it's amazing. Like, I'm getting stoked thinking about that.
Yeah, you said Soulfly, the first record? Mm-hmm. Did that have like Back to the Primitive and stuff on it?
No, that one had Bleed, I think, with Fred Durst.
Oh yeah.
Back to the Primitive, I think that was the second record.
I think that's the one that I first heard.
I'm trying to think of the artwork. I probably literally have it here in my room somewhere, but I'm not gonna go get it. But yeah, it gets shit on hard, but for me it was crucial, man. Crucial gateway type of music to get into everything else.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for me too. And I mean, like, it's just funny because like I love Godflesh, and apparently at certain points in Korn, Korn like was influenced by Godflesh,
Hmm.
and like it was like a full circle thing. I grew up as a kid listening to Korn, and then later I'm like, I like weird heavy music, and like Godflesh is one of those. I definitely like industrial stuff, and hearing that was like that makes sense.
Ah, yeah,
Makes
yeah.
total sense.
I remember some interview where I think it was Head saying he really liked Mr. Bungle. I was like, oh, what's this Mr. Bungle? And then I couldn't really connect. I'm like, how do these guys like Mr.
Right.
Bungle? Because it's not metal, it's not like new metal. But
But
that's just my.
all the weird guitar leads and weirdo noises that Korn does, like like that makes sense that he likes Mr. Bungle.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Bizarre thing.
yeah. Man, I got a crazy story about Monkey from Korn. That didn't happen to me, but some friends of mine, and I've told this before, but some friends of mine were touring the States like '05, something like that, at a gas station in LA. And some guy saw that they had a trailer. Oh, you're in a band? I'm friends with Monkey from Korn. They're like, okay, whatever. Yeah, just wait here, and he'll come stop by and say hi. And they're like, okay, whatever, dude. And he made a phone call. He's like, listen, Monkey can't make it, but if you go to this place tonight, he'll be there. So they were like, whatever, fuck it. I think they canceled the gig. We're like, whatever, we might get to meet Monkey. They went to this restaurant, and he was there. Monkey took them out for dinner, paid for all their meals, like kind of toured their little shitty RV, and I think that was it. But it was like, they're still enormous. They're not like, this is '05, so they're fucking huge
Yeah, yeah.
and crazy, just fucking nuts that this happened.
That's awesome.
I know. Like, it makes me think like, shit, maybe, well, I guess it's being naive, but I'm like, I should hit him up. Maybe he'd come on this stupid little podcast. Like, hey, dude, I know those guys that you took out for dinner 12 years
You
ago.
never know. You never know.
You never know, man. It'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
My favorite thing in like later era Korn was when they like what was it? It was Head left,
Mm-hmm.
because of like all the like religious stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
they said they had like merch that said Korn gave head to God and stuff like that.
Wow, shit.
I never saw them in person, but like just saw them like on the internet and shows. Like this is gold.
Oh my fuck. Have you ever seen them?
Yeah, I did. I actually saw them. It was like after I truly wanted to see them. It was like maybe I guess I was still into them.
Mm-hmm.
I just like got into a lot of other stuff, but maybe like oh man, I can't remember now. It was 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Was it
trying to
like
think
a
of when I graduated, and I think around '06 or something like that, and it was fucking awesome. I
I,
loved it.
I've always
The
heard that they crush live.
Yeah. And actually, so Frank of Enabler, like, Metal Injection and all that,
Mm-hmm.
he was just always like, Korn's like, whatever, and we always kind of like argued it a little bit. I was like, no, man, they're legit,
Uh-huh.
and here's all the reasons why. And he's like, whatever. And like, he, like they've got a new drummer in the last few years or whatever, and like
Mm-hmm.
apparently he's just like incredible. And
Mm-hmm.
Frank went and did this like few day thing on the road with Korn, like documentary or whatever. And he's like, he came back and told me, he's like, I'm 100% a Korn fan. They're incredible live. They're such a good band. Like they're awesome people. So
That's cool.
yeah, like anyone, even people who don't like them really, have come back and been like, they're awesome.
Yeah, well, shit, I don't have to see them live, but I was a huge fan, and I've always heard good things. So shit, maybe
I
one.
mean, I'd say it's worth it. I mean, they're gonna play a lot of the stuff that you want to hear too.
Here's a good, interesting question. The first record, is it good or not? Going
Their
back,
first-
yeah. Can you go back and listen to it and enjoy it? And I will, but it's like, how much of this is my childhood brain just reliving that greatness, or is this actually super amazing?
Not the whole record for me anymore.
Mm.
It's like there are songs on it that I still really dig, but there's just I don't know. As a whole, I can't fully listen to it.
Yeah.
There's just some weird stuff on it for me. I don't know, and like. It's their first record. I do sometimes find their like when I'm really feeling like going all the way back to their like demo that they did, the like tape that's like only on YouTube or whatever.
Oh, I've never heard of
If you've
this.
ever checked that out. Yeah, it's
No.
like it's got like Blind on it, but it's like a different version, and it's got like a couple other songs that are not on the first record, and it's just like really raw and really really new metal.
Wow, shit. I'm
Yeah.
gonna check that out after this conversation. We fucking
I
went.
forget the name of it. I really don't remember, but I
I'm sure.
found it, so I'm sure you can find it.
Yeah. Shit. Holy shit. What a tangent there. Holy fuck. I wanted to. There's a bunch of stuff still. But yeah, as a kid, so you had a buddy who started. Do you remember your first gig? Like covers or not, doesn't really matter. Most people, when I ask, they'll say like a talent show. Well, actually, a lot of people say talent show.
I definitely didn't do a talent show. I was a shy kid, so there's no way I was going to do that like in front of my school. But I remember, so that friend that I started playing music with, we started playing with another friend, and we did like do covers, but it was like I wasn't into it, and it was like we did it a few times, and then I started a band. I think the first show I remember was a legit show, but it was like this auditorium type place that was rented out to do a show, and it was like a benefit of some kind.
Okay.
I remember the stage, and I remember all of that. I just don't remember a lot of the other details.
Long time ago.
Yeah, super long time ago. I was 16 when we first played our first show.
Fucking awesome.
So,
I love that shit, man. I love that shit so much. Like my son, he's 3, and I hope he plays music. It's fun because I don't want to push him too hard, but I definitely want to push him enough that, he can have his own stories about like his first gig, but we'll see.
Well, I was going to say what's funny about that is I was given a drum set when I was like 2 years old, like a little kit, and I just like stabbed all the drum heads. I did not fucking try and play at all.
So that was that your primary instrument? Sorry, I missed that thread there. The first thing you were playing was bass with your buddy, or what? Or would you say drums, or what? You just fucked the drums up?
I played bass for a long, long time, and then could never really play guitar. I didn't feel like, and so I just didn't try. And then, actually, to start Earthwitch, the guitarist and I were like, let's start a band. We don't know what it's gonna be. It'll probably be heavy. Maybe a doom band, and we just started jamming, and like that's the first band I played drums in. So like 2012-ish, maybe late 2011 I started, and it was rough, but we practiced for like 8 months, and then I finally felt comfortable to play a show, and yeah, it was cool. Like people dug it, so just kept doing it.
Well, it's great, man, and it's not like you're doing crazy blasting. Like it's once you get a decent grounding for what it is, like the record's great. Like it sounds good, and it's got that total fucking vibe, man. Everything comes together really nice with it. Like I'm actually like there's so much music out there to absorb, but there's certain things that I'm like, fuck, like I kind of wish I would have gotten to that a little earlier. It actually makes me think of that new Druids record, which fucking the EP crushes.
Like the EP, oh, it's so good.
It's so
like,
good.
That's the thing. Like I like their full length, the Cycles of whatever.
Morbium or something.
But yeah, we play with them a few times now, and they're just so good live, and the EP is that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It actually captures like how good they've gotten, and I'm excited for that band because they're touring a lot and they're doing a lot of shit, which is cool.
Yeah. Well, I talked to Luke. I'm like, oh, I'm doing a podcast with Nathan. He's like, oh, fuck. I said, what should I ask him? He didn't really have much for me, but yeah. Luke, if you're listening, we love you, buddy.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, I booked Luke's old band Omens years ago, and that's how we knew each other. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Luke's awesome.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. One of the best. Now, like, as far as, I guess both bass or drums, I'm kind of curious as to people's pre-show, if there's any sort of pre-show thing. Do you warm up? Do you have a beer? Is there any sort of routine thing you do before you play a set?
I always make sure I have water, because I will just like get so fucking like cottonmouth and dry, especially playing drums, if I'm not drinking water at least at some point. I learned that early on, but actually, I used to never do anything, and then it kind of changed when I was touring with Enabler, because it was really fast stuff for me, and I was just doing a lot of stretching, especially like hand stretching before shows.
Okay.
And it was like a world of difference. Like I didn't get any cramps, or you know what I mean? Like I just like at the end of a set I felt good rather than like I think my hands are gonna fall off kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Mostly like my pick hand, And then For drums, yeah, I just kind of started doing some general light stretching and whatever, like, warm up drum pad stuff just to kind of like, it's not even like really, I don't ever warm up to like get like ready in a sense. It's more like a mental thing. Like I'm gonna play drums now.
Yeah.
I'm not just hanging out at the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of a mindset, I guess, for me more than anything. But stretching obviously helps. I mean, anything physical, you should stretch.
Yeah, I've gone through many phases and I'm still trying to figure it out. But really, what I realized is more of a mental thing. Like I don't need to warm up. I just need to like kind of. Like, there's some shows where it's all my homies in it, and I'm just chilling, having beers, and it's kind of like, oh, fuck, now I got to play. Like, how do I shift gears? I'm totally chill right now.
Yeah, but I think if you're super relaxed, it helps too. You're comfortable.
Yeah. Or, like, really upset. I play good sets when I'm, like, fucking over it. It's like,
oh, yeah, I've done that. You, like, think it's going to be awful, and you're pissed, and then you're done, and you're like, that was pretty good.
Yeah, this is one of my better sets. I need to be miserable more often. What was your first tour? Because I think in the States it's so much easier to tour just because there's like Canada's so big and you got a taste of like kind of the distances and like I know they're the same in the States, especially in the Midwest, but
yeah.
Your first tour, like is there anything memorable about your first tour? Because again, it's your first time and maybe it's a week or something. Anything that kind of stands out, like any sort of shit from there?
I remember a bunch from my first tour because it was a 2-week tour. It was my first band. Technically, we changed our name and got a different vocalist, but it was the same core group of musicians.
Okay.
So we'd been a band for quite a while, and we wanted, like, I was like, I want to tour. This is what I want to do. You know what I mean? So we went and did that, and it was East Coast. I specifically remember we played actually North Carolina on that tour, and it was like one of the best shows that band ever played. Random as hell, like VFW hall type show. There were fights, cops came, like
Jesus.
I remember there was like this grand piano on the stage for some fucking reason, and we were this like metalcore band, it's just this really bizarre thing, but like people were so into it, and that was super rad. I also remember it was summer and our windows wouldn't roll down, so it was just we didn't have air conditioning, so just sweltering hot the whole fucking tour.
Oh god damn.
Yeah.
What were you driving?
What's that?
What were you driving?
Had like it was a van that I bought actually. It was like what was it? It's like one of those Chevy, like, I can't remember the name of it, but it's just like this old shitty van, just like really big though. It wasn't like a cargo van. It was like maybe like more of a family style cargo van. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. That sounds like the van my other band has that we do tours in. But fuck, like that's just when I think back to like first tours or anything like that, and how kind of young you are, and how not crazy it is, but just it's an adventure, man. Like with your buddies playing gigs, fuck, like shit. Yeah. That rule is so hard.
Oh yeah, it was grad, but it was also like I don't know, kind of like my like demise. It was like doing anything normal with my life because I just that itch has never gone away to keep doing it.
What's the longest you've done that month?
Yeah, like 30 or 32 days. I mean, I also like sold merch on a tour for like 30 days too. Like,
which tour?
And that kind of sucks because it's you're not playing. You're like every night you're like, oh, I wish I was doing something other than selling T-shirts.
Yeah. Oh fuck, man, you're there at the venue. You don't get to play. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I did though. It was this deathcore band that I was friends with. I happened to like. They asked me, and they were the bigger band on the tour. Their support was Kill Whitney Dead. I don't know if you ever knew that band. I did not like them at all. But there's this like end song to their set that has like just a super easy breakdown, and so they just started letting random people that were on the tour come play that, and so I did that one night, so that was cool.
Got to scratch that itch.
Yeah, it was bizarre because they're like, get up here. I'm like, oh, okay. I think I know it.
Just open like dun dun dun. It's probably total
exactly.
randomness.
It was the easiest riff ever.
Fuck, man. Yeah, I love just thinking back to that. The first time going out. It's so exciting, man. And for your parents, like I'm a parent now, so it's kind of like, fuck, how stressful that might have been. Like, has it always been cool with your rents with music, or?
Yeah, for the most part. That first tour, actually, our guitarist's mom like freaked out.
Oh shit.
She just like, we didn't tour again after that because she just like, if you can afford to do this, you can live on your own and all this crazy
fuck.
stuff.
Oh, that
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah. That was a bummer. So I mean, we still did a little bit here and there, but yeah, we never full on toured again.
Just stomped his dreams.
Pretty much,
Yeah,
yeah.
fuck. Yeah, man, I've heard that before, and I get it. I get it. You want your kid to do well, and like to someone who completely doesn't play music and doesn't really participate in it, that it sounds fucking crazy. Like,
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, it kind of is.
yeah, I guess that's the truth. They're right.
Yeah. Thankfully, my father has like always been super supportive. Like, maybe not so much when I was a teenager because it was just like, I mean, he bought me a bass and stuff, but at the same time, it's like you're wasting your time, you know,
Yeah.
to some extent.
I get it.
But as time has gone on, he realizes how much I'm into it. But he also started playing music later in life, so he's like, you know, just like at every show he can be at, like in the Midwest kind of stuff.
Oh,
which
that's
is
fucking cool,
super
man.
awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Does he like your new record? Like, did he give you feedback on it?
Oh, he loves Earthwitch. Like he fucking,
That's so awesome.
we like had to sign copies and send them to him. He
Fuck
is
yeah.
a huge fan. Yeah, it's awesome. Like because like he has been to a lot of my bands, like different heavy band shows, and he's always like has something nice, complimentary to say, you know. But with Earthwitch, he's like, I love it. It's great.
Fuck. I love it. That's so awesome. Fucking your other bands, dog shit. Earthwitch, fucking rips, man.
Finally doing something right.
Yeah. He's like Hesher, like youth self comes out fully, like, oh shit. Just had a
Right.
flashback to my dad in high school. Fuck. That rules, man. Yo, well shit, I got a couple more things to kind of run through here.
Okay.
There's just like, because you run the label, Air Records, is that mostly cassettes or is that digital, or what do you mostly handle?
So that like, I mean, so I started the label. It was just like CDs, tapes, digital, and then I opened a physical store, a record store for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then it just was a thing to where it's like I still want to play music more than owning a business, kind of, you know.
Mhm.
So I just sold it and stopped doing that, and the label kind of stopped in the middle of that because it was just so much money to keep something like that going. And then I moved here after all that, you know, kind of took a step back for a little bit from that, and I put a couple more things out under the Error label, and I have something coming out like in a month or two. But I've been focusing on this other label that I started called Hand of Death Records.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just kind of used, you know, like a lot of my connections of friends and bigger bands, trying to work with them, put out their tapes and stuff, and trying to do something like we were talking about earlier. Like it's a business. As much as you love like the music element of it, like I'm trying to do it smart because I put out vinyl with Air Records and just like wasn't smart with the money, and
Yeah.
it could have gone into more pressings and turned into you know, a more fluid thing, and I just didn't.
Yeah.
So that's my goal with this label, and I've got like some vinyl I'm about to do with that. So
Cool.
that's really where more of my label focus is these days.
Okay, cool. Fuck yeah, that's quite the endeavor. I think especially nowadays because some people can only afford cassettes, and portion can do vinyl, and some
Yeah.
people don't even fucking buy CDs anymore. So is that hard to manage? Like shit, like, or are you just like strictly like, no, I'm just gonna do vinyl or this or that?
I haven't done CDs with this label just because a lot of the bands I've been working with, they pretty much, it's either been a record that's been out or they're putting it out, and all the other formats are already covered. And tapes, I mean, I have a preference for those anyway, so
Okay, cool.
I definitely enjoy the format, and I'm always stoked to do it. So and it's, you know, it's relatively inexpensive.
That's great,
so
man.
I do that, and it's like I have kind of like a criteria, like the band's got to do shit, because that's like been a big downfall. Like I still have copies of a couple releases from like 8 years ago that like the bands are fucking great and I love the releases, but they just
Yep.
stop touring, stop being a band, you know.
Yep.
And so I've been kind of just trying to focus on bands that are, if they're not hitting the road hard, they've been around for a
Yeah.
while, you know, and like it's shit that like isn't gonna just sit on my shelf. People are gonna enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's tricky. It must be hard, man, to like, you want to help your friends out, but at the same time, like, I also need to run this as a business. So your band rips, and we're buddies, but you play your city.
I've gotten better at telling people no, in a positive way. Yeah, because it literally does come down to it's time and money. Because I also realize you have to spend, you know, like as you know, like putting out your own band shit, you know, like doing your own PR or whatever, like. You really should spend months on a release, and that's a lot to undertake. So, yeah.
100%, man. Well, that's exciting because, like, you know, there's a million labels out there, but, you know, people throw that around very freely. Label, I got a label, but it's like, okay, well, aside from dropping $300 on a cassette, like, what else are you doing?
Yeah. No, I definitely, that's my focus with this label project, whatever you want to call it, too, is getting shit in stores, getting distribution, like actually like sending stuff out to the right people. You know what I mean? Like getting, I when I can, I get reviews and I get streams, you know, album streams, whatever. Like, so I guess I do a lot of PR shit too. I am realizing it more now as we're talking about it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it sounds like you do all the PR yourself.
Yeah, I do. I've like, and that's the thing, Earthwitch, we considered hiring someone for that. And we looked at the price, and I looked at like my experience, and I was like, I can do this. It's fine. Like, it's my band. Like, I'm passionate about it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. All the stuff that our PR guy's doing now, I fucking know I could have done it. But I haven't really kept track of emails and this and that, and I like handing the work off, but it's a thing that, like, bands can do. You can do your own PR. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this first 7-inch I'm putting out is a split, and both bands are pretty diverse, and they tour a shit ton. And they both either have management or PR. So I legit just have to, like, do my work as a label on this one, which is pretty awesome.
Hell yeah.
And everyone else is gonna do their job. So I don't know. It's gonna be a good experience, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of cogs in the wheel that kind of need to be in place to effectively release an album, because there's a fucking 1,000 bands releasing music. So, can you say who the bands are? Or is that kind of still hush hush? It hasn't been announced. You don't have to say. Like, so you can tell me after maybe or something.
When will this go up?
This goes in like 2 weeks, so it's all good. Don't sweat it.
Okay, no, I can tell you. It's cool. I can tell you one of the two releases. This one is Portrayal of Guilt and Street Sex, both
word.
Austin, Texas bands. Yeah.
So
Portrayal of Guilt specifically is been doing really well for being such a new band, and I've known Matt for quite a while. And,
we know Matt too, man.
Yeah, he was trying to get a show in this area like a few months back, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to book your band, so they blew me away. They're fucking awesome. Like, I like the 7-inch they did and everything, but they're 100% a live band. Like, their drummer is insane.
Yeah,
he fucking
I saw
kills
that.
it. And,
yeah,
and they started adding like these like industrial electronic sounds to their shit too.
Cool.
Like, which is super fucking cool to me. I love that. So I think for a traditional screamo band like that to do something weird is cool.
Yeah, fuck, that's so nuts, man. Yeah, what?
So yeah, we announced that on February 6th. So if it comes out just a little before that, whatever.
Yeah, well, let's see. This is the next one's gonna go up next week, which is the. Oh, does it really matter? I think it's fine.
No, I don't care.
No, it's fine. This will air the day before the 6th. This will air on the 5th.
Oh, perfect. All right, that's
perfect.
tight.
Yeah, go buy that record. Go to how do people get that then? So how do people find that?
I'll have a website up by then. It's in the works. It's just handofdeathrecords.com. I have a Bandcamp, but I mean that record specifically, buy it from either band's Bandcamps, and it's gonna all go to to the same place, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, Portrayal of Guilt, Street Sex. Cool. They're gonna actually tour in March, so they're announcing that too soon.
Cool.
So it's gonna be pretty rad, I think.
Yeah, it's so exciting. That's one of the best things about getting older playing music, is that your buddies are getting better at releasing music. So like the quality of shit, like all my buddies are putting out fucking just crushing records, man. Fuck.
I know, it's super awesome, and it's like it's cool too. Like when I have friends that are doing totally different things that aren't heavy and crushing, but like so good, and they're like doing well with it, and that's super awesome to see because they've worked just as hard as we have for all our lives.
Yeah.
So,
fuck, I know. It's so crazy. Just a couple more things actually before we kind of maybe wrap this up, but you got some bong ripper records. Now, like, I always thought those were super hard to get. Where did you get those? This is more of just a personal question. I'm curious.
No, that's cool. So I just, from running the record store, I think I hit them up once, and I was like, they had the record Miserable coming out, and I was like, I want copies, and they're like, okay, cool, like, we sell directly from us kind of thing.
Cool.
And so anytime since then, I'm just on their, like, very small, like, wholesale list of, like, hey, we're doing a repress, do you want any copies?
Cool.
And it's kind of a funny thing, because I don't go into, like, the error, like, email ever, because it's, like, 6,000 unread emails. And I went because I was trying to find a file, and like I know when there's something there that I can find it really quick. And theirs was like the first or second email, and I'm like, Bong Ripper, what? So I was like, okay, because their shit sells out so fast. It's ridiculous.
How many pressings of the Hail? What is it? Whatever the forward one.
Hail Satan, Worship Doom.
Like, are they like their 7th pressing? I don't fucking know.
Something like that. Yeah, which is funny. I got an extra copy of that, like on whatever color. I was like, I'm gonna keep this one, and then I looked on my shelf and I already fucking have it.
Well, yeah, because they just what crazy. They sell like crazy.
It's insane. Like I think that's like ideal is like being in a band like that. Yeah. Everything on your own fucking terms. Like their drummer records all their own shit.
Jesus, yeah. Fuck.
I think he's the one who's doing the label too, and yeah, they just do it on their own terms, and they play all these crazy festivals and like barely tour anymore, but like all their shows are huge.
Isn't that like so ideal? Like get to that point where people buy your shit and you get opportunities to play huge shows without having to tour for a month.
Like, yeah, I mean, I think so.
Well, like for me, that's the dream, man. Like I could be home a lot and then go out, play some sick gigs, release some sick music, and fuck.
Yeah.
I'll just name my next band Bong Ripper. This fucking record sucks.
Like with 2 R's or something.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Last question. Your opinion on CDRs versus like the diamond plated or whatever, the standard that used to be for CDs. Do you give a shit if you're buying a band from a record and it's a CDR versus like what is it? Diamond plated? Is that what it's called?
Oh, okay. I know what you're saying. Like when CDs were like $20 a piece, kind of thing.
Yeah, like Korn CD versus like a CDR that looks good and is pressed fine, but I don't have an issue myself.
The Earthwish CD is pretty much CDR.
Yeah.
The company we order from, that's like it's cheap as fuck. No, I don't care. I mean, but also, CD format wise for me, I don't give a shit about. It's not something I hate, but I just got like a different car in the last like year and a half, and it has no way of hooking up Bluetooth or like a cassette deck or anything. It's just a fucking CD player. So I mean, I burn CDs all the time now. I don't care. I think if the band like is good, and it's like I want to buy it, and that's all they've got. Like I'll still totally buy it. But if they've also like kind of skimped on the art or anything like that, like the printing, then I'm not so inclined. So I think, like the art and all that still has to kind of like be legit. But no, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
About CD stuff.
I'm always curious with what people think about that. I had someone be like, "Fuck CDRs. It has to be like," but I'm like, it's a different time. I don't think you're right. I think you're wrong. Like no one.
Yeah.
Cares.
Well, I'm somebody who I also release shit on cassette tape, so like it's great quality. Like I get it pro dubbed and shit, but like it's not as good as like 180 gram vinyl.
Yeah.
Like, it's never gonna be. So.
Yeah. Well, as long as something has a download code, then it's kind of covers your ass. Like, hey, Once this tape
Definitely.
completely sounds like shit, then you put it on your headphones, whatever. Everyone has a fucking MP3 player. It's of some type, even if it's like that shitty, just strict I remember I had one that was I think it was Walkman made it, but it looked like a USB stick that you'd put your headphones in. Just
Oh yeah.
they're out there. Whatever. Well, dude, fuck, I do these about this long, and then I do the Hibzine, which is just I play some music because people have been listening to us talk, and I'm sure people are curious to hear Earth Witch. So I wanted to play
Okay.
Mermaids, if that's cool.
What's that?
Or I was hoping to play Mermaid, if that's cool.
Oh yeah, totally.
I'll put it in after because I'm not that fancy. But okay, this is Earth Witch's Mermaid off of Out of the Shallows, right? Out of the.
Yeah.
I'm such a half-head when it comes to fucking names.
It's all good.
But I'll put that right here. that was that by Earthwitch. So, fuck, man, let's close this off. How do people get in touch with you and get the record? And I'll put all the links in the description once this gets posted, but, just shout it out.
Yeah. We sell all our own shit through earthwitch.bandcamp.com. Typical, if you want to get like, exclusive label stuff for the vinyl, that's cursetonguerecords.com, I believe is their site. And they do really awesome shit. So if you're into us, you probably will buy other records from them.
Cool.
Save you on some shipping. That's pretty much it. I mean, we have, Facebook, Instagram, all that shit you can follow us on too. And then like for the label Hand of Death Air Records, you can search those. I'm all over the place on those too, releasing too much shit.
Sick. Well, again, yeah, I'll put all the links so that people can find it. So if you're listening, just click the description and you'll have all that information. But man, Nathan, man, fucking so rad to like sit down and talk. I love this shit, dude. I love this shit so
Absolutely.
much. So much
Thank you
fun.
so much for asking me to be on this, man.
Man, no problem. Just stick on the line for a sec. I'm going to close this off. Just don't go anywhere. This is Take Her Wide, guys, 206, brought to you by daylivephotography.ca, brought to you by dapperbeardoil.com. Use promo code TakeHerWide, free ship. Get that free shipping. And Wellington Brewery for the beers. If you guys can rate and review, that'd be great. Subscribe, like it on Facebook. Instagram is Take Her Wide Podcast. And I don't know, tell a friend, yada, yada, yada. Support rad dudes like Nathan. And I don't know, I'll see you guys next week, most likely.